What's up, you guys? You know who it is. I'm back again with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the aspect Mercury square Mars. This is my first aspect video on the channel. I chose this aspect first because I have this natally, so this hits home for me. And I want to share with you guys my perspective that I gained from having such a difficult aspect, and I also wanted to share some advice on how to maneuver such a difficult aspect if you have this in your natal chart as well. I wanted to briefly talk about what a square is. A square is a difficult learning process. It's a part of your natal chart where you experience a lot of tension and a lot of obstacles. In this case, for Mercury square Mars, you experience a lot of tension in communication, and you have to overcome a lot of hard lessons to effectively communicate to have positive connections with people. A Mercury square Mars person, they're very hot-headed. That's because you got that hot red planet Mars combining with Mercury, so these people are very fiery in their communication. They're very defensive, and Mars is all about defending itself and standing up for itself. So in this case, with it combining with Mercury, it's always going to defend its ideas and its beliefs. They're very abrasive in their communication, so these people are very harsh, and they'll keep it all the way 100 with you, like no filter. They use a lot of fighting words, so these people will say a lot of things that will provoke a response from people, a negative response. Like it'll cause people to want to argue with them or even physically fight them. They're quick learners and they respond quickly to things. They have a quick mind. Like things just kind of rush through their mind because Mars is a fast moving planet and it causes the mind to move very quickly. The Mercury square Mars aspect makes somebody very argumentative. Either they're the kind of person that loves the drama and they love to cause chaos and they love to argue with people, or they could be the person that only argues when it's necessary and they have the courage and confidence to argue their point. They compete for the last word, and Mars is a competitive energy, so these people will get the last word in an argument no matter what. And this aspect causes somebody to have a lot of mental stress. So, especially when they get into an argument with somebody, like their mind just goes 100 miles per hour and it doesn't stop. Even after the argument is over, they overthink it because they're trying to find solutions. They keep replaying the situation in their mind, like their mind is just always going. And it could cause somebody to have insomnia as well. And again, that's because their mind is always on, it's always turned on. They don't know how to shut it off. A person with this aspect likes to engage in anything that excites them mentally. So they love a good intellectual conversation. As for the things that they watch, they would like to watch a lot of things that have to do with blood, guts, action, sex. They may like Game of Thrones as a show. I like Game of Thrones. I didn't like the ending, but I liked Game of Thrones. Also for music, they'll listen to a lot of upbeat, high energy music because Mars is a very high energy planet. So I can imagine them listening to a lot of rock music. I love rock music. I listen to all kinds of rock music. In middle school, I listened to a lot of screaming music, but I don't listen to that anymore. I also like rap music. It really depends. I don't like trap music, aka trash music. I like rap music like Tupac, for instance. And I know I mentioned this in my Mercury and Gemini video, how I love Tupac because he's very raunchy, he's very cutthroat, very edgy. And a Mercury square Mars person, they really enjoy listening to things like that because it really resonates with their communication style. This aspect is very similar to Mercury in Aries in the sense that it makes a person with this aspect very rash and they don't really take the time to think about things before they say it. And it causes them to be in a lot of complications and make a lot of errors. They often put themselves in a situation where they're going to have to rebuild a bridge with somebody. And that's another lesson that they have to go through is admitting when they're wrong and apologizing. Good thing I mastered this. I will say in the past that was hard for me. I have no shame to let somebody know that I messed up and that I apologize. All of that could be avoided if a person with this aspect took the time to think things through and to listen instead of just speaking over people or just trying to get the first and the last word. The unfortunate thing about this aspect is that it's going to bring a lot of frustrating situations into your life where either you're putting yourself there or people are just going to come into your life and just piss you off. It's the universe putting these difficult people in your life on purpose to give you a hard time. And I know that sounds fucked up and that sounds crazy, but it's true because that's just how the energy of a square works, where it's going to reflect back at you what you put out so you can rise above the pettiness, the arguments, the hostility. Overall, establish good communication skills because communication is important in this life. And just because you master this aspect, that doesn't mean the problems go away. You're still going to encounter difficult people, but at least now you know how to deal with it effectively. Because if you don't, you're always going to be in a frustrating cycle where you're always constantly battling other people. The annoying thing about this aspect is that even if that person is dead wrong, you're still in the wrong. You're still left with the responsibility to make amends, rebuild the bridge, and apologize. And that's because this aspect puts you in a bad light where even if you're right and you said something that made sense, it's still not going to come across well to others, unfortunately. This aspect gives somebody a very strong and intense voice. No matter what they do, it's like their voice can't soften. Like even if they tried to soften it, then it's gonna seem like unnatural. And I know this because that's how my voice sounds. Like it's very raunchy and aggressive. And if I try to soften my voice, it just feels very unnatural to me. And people can respond to this in two ways. Either people will like the sound of your voice. I've had people tell me that I sound very confident, like I know what I'm talking about, or I sound like a leader, a commander, and it makes them want to listen to me. And, there are people who are more sensitive where my voice or a person with this aspect, their voice will rub people the wrong way. And that's not even what they're trying to do. They're just probably just having a normal conversation with you. They just sound really aggressive when they're sharing information with you. They have the ability to be really influential speakers because they just have this kind of voice where it's just powerful and it really sparks a reaction in somebody, but not only just an emotional reaction, but a mental reaction. Like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that. But the thing is, since it's a square, you will spark that mental reaction in somebody, but they won't be ready to receive that information due to the tone of your voice, the vibration behind the words that you're sharing with that person. It's like the tone of your voice distracts that person from the valuable information that you're sharing with them. It's not like a person with a positive Mercury aspect, they can easily have people get on board with the ideas that they put out. They have like this smooth finesse kind of style to their communication. Whereas a Mercury square Mars person, people will consider your ideas, but not until they have like a whole battle with you. And then they'll probably be like, I see what this person is saying, maybe I'll consider it. Whereas with a person who has a positive Mercury aspect, it's like, oh, I like what they're saying. I could agree with that. I fuck with that. See the difference? So a Mercury square Mars person, they have to work at winning people over, getting people on board. Cursing is a natural part of their vocabulary. Like, some people curse and it kind of sounds distasteful or it just sounds a little weird. For a Mercury square Mars person, it just naturally flows with their communication. Like for me, I know I curse a lot. It just comes naturally for me. It just naturally just flows with my communication. And I try to keep it a little professional, just a little bit, just a tad. But not really. Like, it's always just going to come out because that is just my communication style. These people are very animated when they talk. Like, they talk with their hands a lot. And that's why you see me always doing all this stuff You know what I'm saying? And their sense of humor is very raunchy, very edgy, and very sharp, and it's very random when it comes out, and it's like super funny. I love it. Another thing about this aspect is that they're very impatient with people. Like, say they're trying to teach somebody something, they'll get really frustrated with that person if that person is not understanding the information fast enough. And that's because a Mercury square Mars person, they learn things very fast, they understand things very easily. But what they have to understand is that not everybody processes information as fast as they do, so they have to be patient. They're prone to headaches, so these people really have to slow down, meditate, clear their mind, so they're not causing a lot of tension in their brain. They just really can't stand it when people lie or when people are being fake, and I could totally agree to that because I can't stand that either. I'm always going to tell the truth no matter what. I understand why a person may do that, because when you're honest, it does get you in trouble, especially if you're not conveying the message correctly. It could cause a lot of problems, but I still don't agree with not telling the truth or being fake. I believe there is a good way of telling the truth without causing problems. And it's by simply saying, hey, I want to be honest with you about something. See how soft that sounds? That person is going to be ready to receive that truth bomb from you. It's not going to cause a problem to where if you're just randomly just saying shit out of the blue, it'll rub people the wrong way. Like, damn, where is this fucking shit coming from? But if you say, hey, I want to talk to you one on one about something and I want to be honest with you, a person is going to be more likely to listen to you. They could be really loud people, very mouthy. They're very passionate, very prideful in how much they know. They're very adamant on what they know and what they're capable of. I feel like a Mercury square Mars person would be like one of those really ratchet, obnoxious, loud people. And I know for damn sure I'm not like this, and I'm not saying that all Mercury square Mars people are like this, but there are those few individuals who do act like that, where they're just like, I know it's best, la 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 la, XYZ, this, that, and the third, and I can't stand those kind of people. But with this aspect, there is a possibility for somebody acting like that. The last thing that I wanted to mention about this aspect is that it could have went one of two ways. Either that person had a fear of speaking their mind and they had to go through a lot of lessons to build that courage, that confidence to speak up for themselves, because Mars is all about confidence and being courageous. Or there's the person that had that confidence and courage and they just didn't have any chill and they would just run off at the mouth. For me, I was the person with the fear. Like, I had a fear of just letting people know like what I was thinking, or even if I just had like random thoughts like I didn't want to share with people because I didn't want people to like judge me. But as I gotten older, like, I just stopped caring about that. And it was also because of my upbringing as well. Like, I grew up around Caribbean people. So Caribbean people, they have an issue with the youth speaking their mind for some reason, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And I disagree. I believe that you should speak your mind, speak your truth, be respectful about it, of course, but you're not wrong for speaking your mind. And oftentimes, the older generation, they make it seem like you're wrong for that, and you're not. They're wrong for putting all these restrictions on you, but you're not wrong for sharing what's on your mind with them. I feel like there's nothing wrong with being honest, and it doesn't leave any room for any pent up anger. And that's another thing too. Like, I suffered with that because I wouldn't say what was on my mind. And as I grew out of that, I started feeling a lot better, a lot lighter, liberated. And now I just openly say what's on my mind. I speak my truth, and I don't care if people think I'm weird or they think I'm bad. I love that I'm liberated and that I'm not embarrassed to share my thoughts with people. This square will help you build that confidence and have that courage to not give a fuck what people think about you, or not give a fuck about people judging you because you're just saying what it is. Whether you guys have Mercury square Mars in your natal chart, or even if you know somebody that has this in their natal chart, here's my suggestions. Meditate, definitely. Take the time to meditate, whether it's for 30 minutes or for an hour, or even just have a silent day where you cut the outside world out and you just be with yourself and you just explore your inner self and just try to heal your inner self. You can meditate with tarot cards. I know I like to meditate with tarot cards. Just pull a few cards for yourself and just meditate on them. I would say also be mindful of what you're listening to, whether it's, something that you're listening to on the TV, people that you're talking to, the kind of music you're listening to, because that could have an effect on your mind as well. If you haven't seen my subconscious video, I talk about how the subconscious can be dangerous. It's not dangerous in general, but it can be dangerous if you're not nurturing your subconscious properly, because your subconscious soaks up things very easily like a sponge. So listen to something that brings your mind peace and have balance. And I know certain songs, they're lit to listen to, and that's fine. I'm not saying don't have fun or don't listen to anything at all. I know sometimes when I get in the car, I don't turn on Apple Music. I'm not listening to anything. I'm just enjoying my drive. I would also say take the time to listen to people, even if they're not communicating effectively. Do your part in listening and trying to understand that person and not getting offended by them. Because I know Mercury square Mars people, they get easily offended when they feel like people are trying to battle them, oppose them, debate with them. Like they don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? The next thing that I wanted to suggest to you guys is take the time to consider what you're going to say before you actually say it, because you don't want to say something that you're going to later regret. So, don't be too quick to respond, because remember, Mercury square Mars, it's a very powerful aspect where your words are very powerful. So you kind of have to be mindful of how you're using your words, because you could really hurt somebody's feelings. If you happen to do that, which that will happen sometimes, where a conversation will get so heated that things are being said that shouldn't have been said, apologize. Try to rekindle that relationship. If you can't and they can't forgive you, move on and take it as a lesson learned to do better next time. With this aspect, people are going to be intimidated by you, and there are people who are going to admire you for this aspect. So basically, you have the superpower of communication, and it should be used responsibly. Also, I would suggest be a motivational speaker with this aspect. You could really motivate somebody to make positive changes in their life. You know what I'm saying? Mars is about motivation. Know that you guys are very intelligent people, despite what anybody may say about you guys. People will make it seem like you guys aren't smart, and that's not true. You guys are very smart. You guys are reckless, yes, and because of that, it'll cause you guys to make a lot of mistakes. But just try to assess things before rushing into it so you can avoid making so many mistakes. But other than that, you guys are very intelligent, very competent people. And also, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Be mindful of the energy that follows behind your words, because that will determine whether people will listen to you or not. If you're not being mindful of your tone, then people are going to see what you're saying as bad, regardless if you're saying something good and it makes sense. So just be mindful of the way that you're conveying your messages. The last things that I wanted to mention to you guys is be admitful. Own up to your shit and don't be embarrassed about it. You're not a failure because of it, and you're not any less of a person because of it. And I know Mercury square Mars people, they don't like to be wrong and they're very prideful, but you're going to have to swallow your pride sometimes, because you can't let your pride get in the way of having meaningful relationships with people, so you can't be self-righteous. And the last thing is be courageous, be confident in what you know, and say what's on your mind, and don't be afraid to share your thoughts with people, even if they judge you. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed me throwing shade at myself. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.